here with Coach Julius Hodge, the head men's basketball coach of Lincoln University. How are you doing today, Coach Hodge?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm great. Besides the cold, but we're
Yeah, it's a
good.
little nippy out there, a little bit.
So you played at NC State and had an extremely successful career, over 2,000 points, over 4,200 minutes
hmm
played, like a huge long list of accolades, including ACC Player of the Year, which actually led to your jersey being hung in the gym. What were some defining moments at NC State, and how did those moments and playing there help shape your career?
It's so many great memories and moments I could call upon. Um, but one I would like to start with was probably my freshman year. We were playing Duke at home, and I went scoreless. The
Oh,
ball would not go in the basket, and I was just, so frustrated. And our head coach at the time, Coach Sindek, said, Jules, just keep working. This is the number one team in the nation for a reason. And then eventually we played them in an ACC conference tournament that year. And they beat us up again. They beat us, but I had a much better game, and I could just see my improvement from that point in the season, early on until towards the end of the season. So it was good to see that.
That's always, you need those moments where you have difficulties in games to see where you're
I,
going to end at the end.
Absolutely, fighting adversity. I mean,
Yes.
I love that. That's probably my number one thing, to be able to fight adversity.
Yes. And then after a decorated college career, you ended up being the 20th overall draft pick in the 2005 draft.
Mhm.
How did you approach the transition from college to the pros?
Well, it's the amount of work you have to put in, and not just work, because you have really talented players who are also working. You have to be extremely diligent every day, making sure you're consistent in the work you put in, and just approaching it as a professional. It was no more going to class and having study hall or
Mhm.
any of those things, but you had to be very professional in your approach. You had to get in early and lift. Then you had to work on your skill development. Then you had practice. Then you had to get a reps later in the afternoon. You had to do that every day.
Yeah.
And for someone like myself that wasn't logging a ton of minutes, I mean, I also had to play one on ones and two on twos against guys so I can continue to sharpen my sword, so to speak. So it's a great experience.
Do you have like a most memorable moment from playing in the league, or a moment that just sticks in your mind that, like, wow, I'm really going to remember this for the rest of my life? This is something I tell my kids.
Yeah. Yes. So I would say it was my only start in the NBA, and we played the Los Angeles Lakers
Oh.
in LA, and I was matched up against Kobe, and this was in the stretch where Kobe was scoring 39s, 45s, 50s,
Hmm.
and we played him, and I held him to 8 points.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, and I scored a couple times, had a couple assists, was running the point, and we lost the game. But for me, it was like, I grew up watching and loving Kobe, so to
Hmm.
be able to have that moment and lock him down, that was awesome.
That's definitely a conversation starter at a party.
Yeah,
Like, oh, by the
yeah,
way, I held Kobe to 8 points. Like,
absolutely.
and then how did playing in the NBA and playing overseas in places like China, Australia, and Italy, which have very competitive overseas
Mhm.
markets and leagues,
Yeah.
shape your perspective on the game?
Well, it showed me that there are really good players all over. So during my career professionally and playing abroad, I played in France, Italy, Australia have such talented young good players. Um, Asia, I've played everywhere, right?
Hmm.
But it definitely, for me, it helped me in terms of learning other cultures
Hmm.
and being able to adapt and meeting so many good people across this not only this nation but the world, and being able to play high level basketball and still be able to chase my dreams. It was just it was a lot of fun,
Hmm.
and I have a lot of great memories.
What was your favorite place to play? Like your favorite league that you played
My
in?
favorite league that I played in, I will probably have to say either the French league, because my team was stationed in Paris, so I lived
Mm.
in Paris for a year, so that was
You can't
awesome.
complain about
Not at
that.
all. That's my favorite city in the world. Or I would have to say the Australian league, playing in Melbourne, the city of Melbourne, and uh, this great competition, and while I'm there, it's winter here, but
Hmm.
it's summer over there.
Super
Oh
nice.
yeah, it's so nice. It was awesome.
Awesome. And then you were born and raised in New York. How did your upbringing influence your coaching style and philosophy, especially knowing like New York? I used to live in New York,
Hmm.
the outside courts, Rucker Park, all of that.
Yes.
New York is really a place that breathes basketball. So, how did that help in your upbringing with loving the game?
Well, I grew up watching a ton of great players. I mean, I would walk outside of my home and everyone's always playing basketball,
Hmm.
right? I played with the Gauchos AAU
Hmm.
organization. So I was in the gym and I was watching since I was young. Eric Harris, who went to Minnesota, Kareem Reed, who went to the University of Arkansas, Stephon Marbury, right, Georgia Tech,
Hmm.
NBA, Tim Thomas, Ramel Lloyd, Charlton Clark, who went to UMass. I can just go up and down the list. Ernest Brown, who went straight from high school to the NBA. It was just so much talent in that gym,
Hmm.
and I was able to see it. Shaheen Holloway will come over and play. So just seeing that every day, and I would be a ball boy for their games. Just want to stay around the gym. I would do the clock.
Hmm.
Just wanted to be around the gym. I would wipe the floor whenever they fell and got the sweat. So just being around that every single day, and the great coaches that the Gauchos organization had, it definitely planted that seed when I was young. I knew, hey, I either wanted to coach or I wanted to be a college basketball analyst.
Hmm.
And I did that first when I retired. And I was
Yeah.
working with the ACC network, and then I said, you know what, coaching is my love. So it definitely set the stage. And in terms of the translation from learning and coming up in that and coaching, with me, there's really no excuses. You just
Hmm.
have to get the job done. And if you're working the proper way, then the job will get completed in the proper way.
Hmm. I love that. And I'm sure you're glad to be back on the East Coast. Not quite New York,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
at least
absolutely.
you're on the East Coast, a little home.
Absolutely.
And then stepping into a head coaching role at Lincoln after, they just came off a championship season.
Hmm.
What were your expectations heading into this season, and what do you expect to continue to lead to success, especially considering you're tied at the top of your division right now.
Hmm.
You won the Chris Paul HBCU Classic, so what was your mindset heading into it, and now that you've gotten into the season and now we're at the second half, to continue that success for this program?
Yeah. So what I first wanted to say is give last year's staff and head coach, Coach Jason, his propers. He did a magnificent job, not only in coaching those guys up into a championship, but he did a great job, first off, recruiting and bringing in very well respected young men. So I wanted to first give him his propers. In terms of our current success, I expect greatness.
Hmm.
So when it happens, I'm not surprised by it.
Hmm.
In terms of being able to sustain this and keep it going, we know there's probably going to be some bumps in the road eventually in conference play, but it's how you weather those storms.
Hmm.
Keeping the guys together, letting them know, hey guys, this is your garden. I'm just the gardener. I'm just
Hmm.
here to water it for you guys, and wherever I see blind spots, I might add a little extra water, right? But this is for you guys, and it's been great just transitioning into this head coaching spot and seeing guys having success, guys buying into the system. And it's not always that way, right? There's
No.
always bumps in the road,
Right.
right? There's some guys that's like, hey, man, I like the way things were done the old way.
Hmm.
And I want to be able to behave in ways that are not becoming of a excellent student athlete, especially a young black man. So
Hmm.
just being able to help guys and guide them in the right way. I love that part more than the wins and losses.
Yeah.
I promise you, when I speak with our leadership and our athletic director Harry Stinson, I'm always saying, hey, I don't care about wins and losses. I care about these guys graduating
Hmm.
and helping build young black men.
Hmm.
Uh, that's my focus. And he's like, no, I know, coach, but championships are good
Yeah,
too. I say,
we care
yeah,
about the wins and losses
yeah.
just a little bit.
Absolutely, and I get it too. I love to win. You feel better. I feel like my teeth are whiter when I win, when
Yeah.
I smile. But no, it's been a great experience.
And you kind of answered that question, but what has been the most rewarding part, kind of off of what you just said thus far, of coaching the Lincoln's men team? And like, how does your background and experience in basketball and life as a black man bring to this role to help guide these young black men trying to figure out, their college experience, but also post-college opportunities and experience in life?
Yes. The first part of that, just coaching here at Lincoln has been magnificent experience. Just the history that comes along with this university. I mean, I'm walking along some of the same paths that Langston Hughes
Mm-hmm.
walked in, and just making sure that our guys know that history and what it means to be a Lincoln man. Um, and what was the second part of that? I'm
Just
sorry.
you being a black man and helping guide
Yes.
these young black men through life, and they're kind of helping them prepare for post college and still navigating through college. What is that experience like?
Yes.
And knowing that you have that role and really that need to want to guide them.
Yes, and definitely being able to guide young black men through life in the proper way, in
Mm-hmm.
a positive way, and making sure that they have a positive impact, and not just on the court, but also in the classroom and in the community. Just being upstanding young men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know, and I had a couple of the guys say it was joking with me, but during homecoming, we were, watching the football game.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like what I saw when guys were walking into the stadium. So then we had to go and run at halftime. And guys were like, "Coach, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy." I was like, "Hey, get your shorts and your sneakers. Let's go run." And we ran for about an hour. And guys just bringing it up now and laughing and saying, "Hey, nah, but coach, you was right. If we're not right out there, then that's what we need to do."
Mm-hmm.
And it's letting guys know, even though during the moment when it's happening, the punishment, guys are going to be pissed, and it's
Mm-hmm.
that's okay,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to like it, but knowing that it's what's behind that, what's after that in life, and helping these guys with these lessons, I love it.
Mm-hmm. And then, as someone who has experienced success playing basketball, both in the NBA and internationally, how are you bringing those experiences to your vision and future at Lincoln?
Well, with my experiences as a former player, the number one thing for me is fighting adversity,
Mm-hmm.
and letting our guys know, hey, I've been the starting point guard, I've been a star player. Uh, I've been the guy, the sixth man off the bench playing in Paris. I've been the guy at the end of the bench, for most of my NBA career.
Mm-hmm.
I've everywhere you guys have been, every step of the way, from freshman all the way up to senior year, I've also done that. But guys, it's the connections and the relationships that you build while you're in college that last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to remember how many points you average. I don't
Nope.
remember how many assists I averaged as a sophomore at NC State.
No.
I don't even care. We care about the wins and the losses, obviously, but the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, when I go back to Raleigh, I'm meeting up with 4 or 5 of my teammates, and we're having breakfast. We're going to the Cracker Barrel, and we're just cracking jokes the entire time, and we're laughing at Coach Sindek at times where we got him pissed off.
Yeah.
And those things are what matters most after you graduate.
Yeah, that's very true. You really do not remember any of
Mm,
those statistical like
no.
categories. You remember like the funny thing your coach did at the away game or different things like that. The
Hmm.
memories, the relationships like you
Yes.
spoke on. And seeing as though a lot of collegiate players have the want to play after college, whether
Hmm.
it be getting to the G League or internationally.
Hmm.
Are you helping the ones who have those questions or wanting that knowledge of how to navigate that?
Absolutely, and I've had a couple guys ask me about playing professionally. Not everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but the guys who have, and the guys who are showing promise, and they work diligently on improving as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the guys that I've definitely been making calls to my connections, to various agents I know, and I'm like, hey, just take a look at my guy. Come to a practice. Come check him out.
Mm-hmm.
Come to a game. I promise you, I would not call you unless this was the
Right.
real. Like I won't put my name on it. I won't stamp it unless it's the real. So to be able to get that feedback for guys and help them along the way, it's been tremendous.
Yeah, I love that
Hmm.
because you have those connections, and I
Yeah,
totally
absolutely.
understand. Like, I'm not gonna put my name on the line
Hey,
unless
it's
you really.
hey, it got to be that best of the best. If not, I can't say anything. But no, we got good dudes.
And then, this isn't just like you were previously a D1 assistant and now you're a head coach at an HBCU.
Hmm.
So, and you didn't play at an HBCU, you played at a P4 powerhouse league.
Yep,
So,
yep.
what is it? What was it like getting the job at an HBCU specifically, and knowing that like now you have this deep history? Alumni are so in love with their universities, and as they should be. So, what is it like now being engulfed in the culture and getting this opportunity?
It is awesome. The one thing you learn as a head coach, not only that you're representing the university, but everyone's coming back to asking you questions. Hey, coach, I see this out there. Maybe you could do that. Everyone has a suggestion. So
Yeah.
I tell everyone, hey, I have a huge suggestion box. And I'm fine with you putting your suggestion in. I'll write it down and put it in and make sure you sign your name at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean I am going to pick that suggestion and use it.
Right.
So don't be offended, all right? Just allow me to do my job, and I'm gonna do what's best for my team and for the university. But just being around the love
Mm-hmm.
around this university and the atmosphere, the HBCU atmosphere, I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time,
Yeah.
and good luck tonight. You guys play Shaw at 8 p.m. and I hope you guys play well.
Yes. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.